Last year, 34% of our clients who applied to the GSB got in. And that's unheard of for a program with a 7% acceptance rate overall. And every single one of those applicants started in the exact same boat you're in right now, staring at a blank page, wondering how they're going to answer the toughest question in the MBA application game. There are 3 common ways that even the brightest applicants start writing this essay, but they're actually terrible strategies. And so today I'm going to break down what they are, what you should do instead, and then stay tuned until the end because I'm going to share the one question that I ask every single one of my clients to help them get absolute clarity on what matters most to them and why. The first one is co-opting someone else's story. And here's what you might be tempted to write about. Maybe your father immigrated to the United States at a young age and had to overcome a lot of hurdles and adversity in order to settle down in the US and assimilate into a new culture. And that inspired you, right? His story of resilience and perseverance that absolutely shaped you and absolutely played a role in your life. But it is not your story to tell. So in this essay, you want to stick to stories that you have experienced firsthand. The second common mistake is treating this essay like a manifesto or an autobiography. And what does that look like? That means not really knowing what your direct answer to the question is. And so you start by writing your life story, your formative experiences, the key inflection points in your life. And while that's not necessarily wrong, the problem with that is that there's no key takeaway. This question is asking something very specific. And while the essay will contain stories from your life, they should all support a singular agenda. And the third most common mistake is mistaking patterns in your life for what actually matters most to you. And so let me share an example to bring this to life. Maybe you moved around a lot growing up because you had a parent in the military. And so you might think that having a global mindset is something that matters most to you because that is a repeated theme in your life. But just because that's something you've lived through or something you've experienced, it doesn't mean that's something that actually drives you and that you are motivated by and that you make conscientious choices to move towards. And so those are 2 very different things. And oftentimes what matters most to you and why, while it is a repeated theme that shows up in your life, it requires intentional action and isn't something that you are just a passive receiver of. All right. Now you have it. You know the 3 most common mistakes. Now I want to share the one question that can unlock this essay prompt for you for good. And that question is, what makes you angry? Here's an example from a recent client. She was really struggling to know how to answer this question. She had a lot of ideas, but they were all very vague. They were all quite abstract. So I asked her, what makes you angry? And she said, well, I really hate it when people reduce me to a stereotype. I hate it when people judge me based on what I look like or what I sound like. And that really gets my blood boiling. And I refuse to do that to anyone else. And so we double clicked into that. And what we learned is that for her, what really matters is seeing people fully and embracing people fully along with their contradictions, along with things that you might not see or might not know about them. Because yes, it is easy to reduce someone to a stereotype. It is easy to jump to conclusions, but it's also lazy and never captures the full story. And so she ended up writing an excellent essay that captured that thing that matters most to her. And it all started from getting in touch with what really gets her upset. So I want you to ask yourself, what really gets you angry? What really gets your blood boiling? And just answer that. Jot down a few notes, the first things that come to mind, and then start to dig beneath the surface of that answer and see if that isn't, in fact, the thing that matters most to you. This is gonna feel like a therapy session, and that is completely normal. But that's also why this is so difficult to reflect on your own. Having a thought partner and a sounding board and someone to challenge you and continue to push deeper on these questions is exactly the rigor that is required to write a truly authentic and vulnerable essay. And that's exactly what we do with our clients, and that's exactly how we help them beat the odds at the most competitive MBA programs in the world. If you're interested in working together on improving your applications, click the link below to schedule a free initial consultation.